Ah, the majestic grass block. For some reason, some of you want to live in a giant one, so I thought I'd make a short video just telling you how you can make giant 3D models of any block in the game. So if you look closely, there are pixels that make up each side, and they are exactly 16 by 16 in default Minecraft. Now this is a 3D representation of the block, and not, I repeat, not a direct copy of every single individual pixel. So let's get straight into it. The first thing is obviously we need a 16 by 16 cube. This is going to make up the exact size of the grass block that we're going to be making. And you can use this technique to supersize any block in the game if you fancy living in one. I'm not sure why you would, but you know, some people do. If we look closely at a grass block, it has a very specific pattern of grass that goes over the dirt. This is what we're going to recreate in green stained clay on the overhang. Like I said, this is a visual representation of a grass block and not a direct copy. Those are easy, you just need to copy the exact pixels. So we're going to replicate the pattern using the stained clay so it looks exactly the same as the dirt block, otherwise it might not be as recognizable. We're going to fill in the top, which has had the entire top layer changed to clay as well, and then replicate the exact pattern on all four sides of the block, and it should look exactly the same on every single side at this point, and then you can add that extra bit of layer which wouldn't be there normally, of course, but to give it a 3D effect and make it look a bit nicer. So this is the base of our block. I'm also going to take out the corners, again to give it more of a 3D feel. Once we've done that, we can then change some of the texture. A dirt block is made up of several shades of brown plus a grey block. We're not going to replicate that exactly because this is just a 3D representation, but by adding some coarse dirt into it and some darker stained clay on the grass, we can make this look a little more attuned to the actual block. In retrospect, I could have improved the texture a little bit, but this is what I've made and it doesn't look terrible. On the top, I added a slightly smaller layer of grass just to smoothen the entire appearance. I then replicated the texture all the way round on every single side with the help of World Edit. You don't have to replicate it exactly. On the front, I then decided, what can you do with a giant block? Well, you could probably live in it, so making a house is easy on this one. You just add some windows, add a door. The problem is, if you make two windows like I did, those immediately look like eyes. So that's perhaps something to avoid that I didn't. I added some flower beds and a front door as well, so as you can see it looks like two eyes and a mouth, and I've got a giant living grass block, which wasn't my intention, but it doesn't look terrible nonetheless. I of course used brown glass for it, but the point is that it's different. It's not about making something that looks fantastic, it's just quick and it's different. Imagine you were going through a survival world and you saw someone living in it, you'd think, wow, that's pretty cool. Let's move on to the crafting table as another example, because it's not just the grass block, just to prove the point that you can supersize any block. If you look at the texture of the crafting table, it's got a little more detail. I have oversimplified these gigantic blocks because I want you to make your own textures for these things. So I'm going to quickly demonstrate how to make the crafting table. I've again used stained clay as my main colouring blocks because they have the nicest texture and the greatest variety of colour. I also made sure that they had the 3D appearance, and you do that just by setting the blocks in the middle back one, and then the tools like the saw and the hammer go in their retrospective places and add some of the texture details. I didn't do that much texturing on this one, and I could have added more. Much like the dirt one, it could have been improved in many ways, but this is a proof of concept video that you can live in these giant box houses that look like a block fairly easy. These took me maybe 20 minutes each. They do cost a lot of resources, but they're not terribly difficult resources to find in the first place. So the top there is just a block by block recreation, and on the front there's an easy door. So you can see that these super block houses, They look alright. I don't know why you would want to live in them, but there's definitely potential to turn them into something unique, and coming across any of these in a survival world would definitely turn a head. Maybe you just are sick of making normal houses, perhaps you want to try something different, or you want to just stand out in your survival world. Maybe this is another option. I do want to do videos that are not just houses, but something unique. So if you have any suggestions, please leave a comment down below and tell me what you would like to see. Maybe there's a project you're struggling with. I'd love to know. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and goodbye.